Well, like always, I want to thank everybody for coming out and covering Penn State football. We appreciate it, not only from a media perspective, but obviously from a fan perspective. 110,747 people, fourth highest all time since 2018. So very appreciative of that. It was a special environment. You talk about the stats that we track. I think tell the story. We won the field position battle. We won the penalty battle, which to me obviously is a real good sign of a disciplined football team. We only had one penalty for 5 yards. We won that battle. The turnover battle was a tie, fairly unusual. Neither team turned the ball over in the opening game. On that note, I think that's a good quarterback. That quarterback is going to cause problems for people this year. He is mobile. He can extend plays. He's accurate. But that was a positive. And then explosive plays. We won that. We were 15%. So those things kind of tell the story in my mind. It was great that we were able to get 7 first-time starters on the field. You talk about, Drew Allar is the first quarterback to throw for 300 yards in a season opener since 2014. And then if you talk about 325 yards, second most by a quarterback in his first start. So a lot of really good things there. Awesome to see so many lettermen that we had back. Ton of lettermen. This obviously game is before the NFL season gets started, so a lot of the guys were able to come back. It was great to see all those guys. And then at the end of the game there, getting our 2s and 3s in there on defense. Obviously, you hate to give up a score, but the fact that those guys were able to get that playing time, I think is really valuable. We discussed that as a staff. Wanted to do a better job of that, of getting those guys on the field. They were able to do that. Now we're going to be able to coach those guys and correct from it. You'd prefer not to give up that score, though, late, and then to be able to get the second offense in there and the backup quarterback in there, and for them to be able to move the ball down the field and get a score was big. So a lot to build on, a lot to correct. I thought we were inconsistent really in all 3 phases. We got to get those things cleaned up. But we'll enjoy it tonight. Tomorrow we'll get to work on this film and making the corrections and then get started on Delaware. So appreciate everybody being out and open up the questions.
Rich, can you get a mic to you? Mark?
Hey, James, on this side.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going? Could you assess a little bit further the job that Drew did, specifically when it came to facing some of the pressure that got to him and the decision-making overall that he made in his first start? Thanks.
Yeah, if you look at him, if these statistics, are right here, Drew was 21 of 29 for 325 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously something, really good to build on, and no turnovers. Like I talked to you guys about last week, I thought the one ball should have been a turnover. So just like I was talking to you about from practice, we'll grade that as a interception decision or interception throw. So we were fortunate. To me, you're going to make that throw in the red zone. You want to put it up high where our guy's going to catch it in the back of the end zone or nobody does. But besides that, I thought he did a really good job of managing the game from a decision-making standpoint. Was extremely poised. Like we've talked about in the past, he's mobile for a big guy. Does a great job of climbing the pocket and keeping his eyes up. So I was very pleased. And then on top of that, we were able to spread the ball around. I think, if I'm correct here, to 9 different receivers, if I'm correct there. So that's a positive as well. That he was able to get a ton of guys involved in the game and have an impact.
James, to your left. The defense, how do you think your defensive front played against their offensive line, and what did you do differently defensively? Why were you effective more in the second half?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in the second half is we were able to get off the field on either 3rd or 4th down. I think they got a good offensive line. They were touting their offensive line coming into the season. And I think their offensive line is good. I think the quarterback does a phenomenal job. When you are rushing that type of quarterback, you got to keep in your rush lanes, and you can't get above the level of the quarterback, and that causes problems tonight. But I think it's going to be good for us in the long term, that type of mobility at the quarterback position. And they were smart. There wasn't too many times where they were dropping back and holding on to the ball. The ball was coming out quick, either in quick game or RPO type throws, which was smart.
John.
James, how would you evaluate how KeAndre and Trey played, and what's your confidence level in the receivers behind them after seeing?
Yeah, no different than what you guys kind of keep asking me. Like we said, we feel like KeAndre and Trey. You look at it, one has 7 catches and one has 4 catches, one for 72 yards and one for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Feel like we got those 2 guys that have kind of established themselves. And then we got a group. You saw McLean do some good things tonight. You saw Liam Clifford do some good things tonight. I think we got other guys that can as well. You saw Dante Cephas do some things. So obviously I think we had 2 drops down there in the red zone that both would have went for touchdowns. So we got to get those things cleaned up. But there's a group of guys that we feel good about, but we just need to be more consistent.
Pickle.
Coach Ray, how close was the kicking competition during summer camps, spring practice? I'm sure it was part of that too. And then what made you decide to make the change? Was it just the misses, or were you going to split a half based on what played out? And then what is your plan moving forward at this point?
What are we doing? Are we doing 3 questions? I don't remember what the third question was. But it was very close. It really could have went either way. I think if you look at it, early on, Falcons had the lead. Then Sander kind of took the lead. Late in training camp, probably over the last week, but it was still very close. So close enough that after you miss 2 field goals that I do not think were, long, challenging field goals, that was close enough during camp to go to the other guy. What was your 4th and 5th question?
Just your plan moving forward.
Yeah, I can't tell you my plan moving forward. Obviously, we made a change during the game. We'll discuss it. There'll be competition all year long at every position, but we have the depth that if it's not a guy's night, we have somebody else that we can put in at really every position. But we obviously have not made any decisions. We haven't met as a staff. We haven't watched film. We haven't had a week of competition, so no decisions.
Johnny.
James, on your right. With Drew tonight, did anything that he do, the throws that he made, the way he handled himself with that pressure on the run, did any of that surprise you, or was that the Drew that you saw in preseason camp?
No, that's the Drew that we saw in preseason camp. I think that's, to be honest with you, that's the Drew we saw in limited reps last year in terms of when he got in the game. He did some really good things and just feels very poised and confident. The other thing I would say, because I think somebody else asked this question to your point, they were smart. They played a ton of cover 0, which if you're going to play a young quarterback and you play cover 0, which allows you to get more guys in the box that we can block in the run game or in protection, and create a pressure situation for a quarterback, that's a smart plan for a first-time starter. But Drew was able to execute the cover 0 plan, and except for one, we had the slant to KeAndre that he got pressure and he was losing ground. He kind of threw it low and slightly behind him. If that thing's out in front, KeAndre walks in from 70 or 60 or whatever that was. Besides that, I thought he managed it really well. Beau did the same thing. We were trying to run the ball at the end of the game there. Again, you're going to go cover 0. You're forcing us to throw the ball. Beau checked our cover 0 plan and picked up a first down there. I think it was on 3rd or 4th down. I'm proud of both of those guys.
Jared, you're on the left.
Coach Ray, good morning, guys. You mentioned earlier this week that there were some things we just couldn't see in practice, like Beau's mobility and like the special teams performance. After seeing some game time from obviously Beau and from the special teams, how do you feel on those things now?
Beau from special teams?
I mean, on Beau's mobility, you can't see in practice, and then how special teams separately, how they perform in game versus practice.
Gotcha. So special teams, I thought we were inconsistent. Obviously, we missed the 2 field goals. Kickoff, we were fortunate. we kind of squibbed one that could have went out of bounds on us. We were fortunate on that one. I think the one punt we had, I don't know if we had more than one punt, but the one punt we had wasn't for a great average. So we were just kind of inconsistent. So we got to get that cleaned up. And then with Drew, yeah, I think you guys got a chance to see tonight, and really our coaching staff got to see tonight what I anticipated we'd see from Beau. Beau is a lot of his traits aren't going to show up in a traditional practice. When I went and watched him play in high school, it was one of the more impressive things to watch, just his poise and ability to spread the ball around. So we got confidence in those two guys. It's something to build on. It's going to be a different style. He's still able to throw the ball and be successful. We didn't ask him to do that in this game based on what the score was and where the ball was. But there's some things that are going to show up in Beau's game that I think is going to help us this year.
Last question to Andrew Clay.
Coach, back here at the camera. West Virginia threw a lot of different things at you, a lot of different looks, trick plays, all of that jazz. How did you feel you guys responded, and what kind of felt like gotcha moments that you guys really didn't get gotten at?
Yeah, those things are important, right? In opening games, you're going to get some of that stuff. We were prepared for. I think we got a little bit fortunate on the double reverse pass because I don't think the receiver got the call. He was blocking, and he was the only receiver on that play. The quarterback was looking, so I think it'd be interesting to see how that would have played out. At least that's how it looked for me. I haven't watched the tape, but that's how it looked for me. But yeah, I thought for the most part our guys handled it, and you just never truly know what you're going to get in an opening game. Are they going to be similar to how they were last year? Now that Neil was calling the offense, had they gone and done some type of study on offense and defense, and gone to some type of defensive front or coverage that we hadn't really been able to see on film? So you never truly know what you're going to get in an opening game in college football. I was pleased with how we handled a lot of different looks and a lot of variety and variation. And again, I thought the quarterback, I think he's gonna have a good year. I think he's gonna cause problems for a lot of people from my vantage point.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.